can't tell me nothing about this crypto. This O-Day, these forensics, strictly for my hackers. Hackers on the grind, I ain't forget all my port scanners, all my SQL injectors, my exploit devs.
Evening all, welcome to another HACK-ALT-NCOMMANDER. Hoping you all are having a wonderful end of the year celebration, and we are here with the last HACK-ALT-NCOMMANDER of 2020. Okay, I guess that works. And like usual, stream difficulties. So, tonight we've got something kind of special because there's been an interesting bit of news in the vintage tech community. So, about a week ago, and let me break off a new tab so I can show you. A new version of Windows NT was leaked to the general public. You know what? Typing NT Alpha doesn't actually work, because if you type NT Alpha, you get the deck release. But the early NT, here it is, the September. This is the September 1991 build of Windows NT. This is the oldest known public release to ever exist. It's actually from before the IBM Microsoft breakup, which was in late 91. So this dropped with basically no fanfare 2 weeks ago. So I've really been wanting to look at this. We have looked at, for those who have been watching this stream for a while, we did look at the Comdex beta on stream. I want to say it's been about 2-3 months ago. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how much this has changed. This is assuming I can install it. I know people have managed to get the Comdex, this build, to install, but it's a little bit interesting. And, you know, whenever I use the word interesting, it's never a good thing. So the way, let me see if I can find it. Finding anything on my file system is like, here it is. So the way the build was hosted, it was basically released as a zip archive with a bunch of files. There was no ISO image included. It's not really clear if this is how it was distributed. So there was also a words in Commander. There was also an ISO, but it screwed it up pretty badly. So if we look at the README file included with this, we can definitely see how early this build is. I mean, security is enabled. So this was a build of NT right at the get-go. We can see that Program Manager is started. DAWs and OS2 dual boot is installed. Even all control delete. I mean, this is very, very early in the NT life cycle. Now, apparently it can play music. I haven't heard anyone actually succeed at doing this, but it'll be interesting to see if we can actually get that to work. So there is quite a bit of errata. It does say that you need to pre-install DAWs or OS2. We've got both. I have heard that this will not work correctly with DAWs 6. I don't know if that's true or not. We could try it. And it talks quite a bit. You can see that this was kind of rushed out because the MIPS build is missing. For those who didn't know, the Windows NT was originally based on MIPS. Well, it was originally developed on the Intel i860 architecture. Then it was mostly coded on MIPS and then ported to x86. And I mean, at the time, it needs 10 megabytes of RAM. That's a lot for early 1990 or 91. So, and then it has all sorts of various configuration information. So that's basically where we stand. So, I think there's nothing to do but get right into it. So I do want to poll the chat. So make yourself known, chat. Do we want to go with trying installing from DAWs? And if so, DAWs 5 or 6? Or do we want to try and get OS2 off the ground? At this point, I need a soundboard where I can press a button and we could see if I can play the music from like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. If no, I don't hear anything, I guess I'm going to go with DAWs 5, although I'm kind of curious to see how it will actually work with NT. So let's get a new virtual machine going. So let's see here. I don't really want to delete any of these, and half of them are 286s. Actually, I have heard that nightly builds of 86 build. Hey, Duce Demona. Welcome to the, we're going to try and run Windows NT, the new NT alpha build. You know, I just realized that the title of this stream is a little misleading because I should say alpha build and not alpha, because I'm not trying to run NT on DEC alpha. I would love to have DEC alpha hardware, but I don't think I can run power. If you look behind me, I've got Itanium hardware sitting right there. And if I plug that in, bad things happen to the New Jersey power grid. I'm not even joking. So do I want to try this in 86 box? I've heard in 86 box you can actually get sound working, but there's so little information on this build. I'll stay with PCM for now because I might... See, I know, I just realized the only network card this supports, if you look at this, is the Freecom Etherlink. PCM can't emulate that. 86 box can, but their network code is kind of broken for long and complicated reasons. So let's go, you know, we're just going to go with PCM. If we have to switch, we'll switch. So let's see here. Let's go with, I'm thinking we're going to want to go with a late for 86. Desk Pros need a setup disk. I really don't want to have to go digging for that. So let's go with a 33 megahertz 386. We'll give it a floating point unit, and we'll give it 16 megabytes of RAM. That's fine. That's fine. No, hold on. Actually, I do want to adjust this. Okay. We probably won't need a CD-ROM drive, but I might as well leave it, and then we just need to add a hard drive. So let's see here. And you know what? We're going to go with good old CHS geometry because, yeah, I got my doubts that this is going to be a particularly stable build. From the time period, this is very early. We know from documentation from Dave Cutler and others that NT development really started in 1990. So this is about the 1 year mark of when they started, and this is probably not long after they ported it to x86. So, you know what, screw it. You know, we'll just go with NT alpha. I'm just going to go with yeah, you know, we're not going to go with a CHS geometry disk. Thunderbird 32, welcome. We are going to be trying to install the NT alpha build tonight. Hopefully my mic is working. No one's actually responding. Okay. I see the bar moving in OBS, but that doesn't actually mean anything. So, because technology hates me. Yeah, no, I see the bar moving. So, and then the question for the chat is, do we still want to go with DAWs or do we want to use OS2 to try and dual boot? I haven't decided right now. I have OS2 1.2 sitting here. I also have DAWs 6. I have the DAWs 5 diskettes, and I think I have an image. I've made an image of them, but I haven't used DAWs 5 in a long time. So I'm sort of flexible with how we do this. So I'll let the chat decide because I still got to do the BIOS setup stuff, and we still got to deal with the format the hard drive. Why is it that I choose VM view and nothing changes? Come on. Nope. Oh. Technology just does not like me tonight. Okay. Let's push the start button. Oh, right. No, let's not use a CGA card. I don't want to burn your eyes off. Yeah, I had meant it. That was a NCommander had a brain fart moment. Because I meant it in the sense that we were testing a beta build, an early alpha build of Windows NT. and not in the sense that, oh, we're going to be using a DEC Alpha system. I would love to use a DEC Alpha system, but, yeah, no, not quite. Okay, so, oh, right, Y2K bug. This BIOS has a known Y2K bug. I have to disable the time sync, or, and I actually am curious, I have my doubts if this version of Windows NT is even Y2K compatible. Because I know Windows 95 had some Y2K bugs, so I would be very surprised if this version was. So let's set the clock to, what's today? Today is the 23rd. We'll set the clock to the 23rd, 1995. Yeah, that's a good year. Set the floppy disk. It's interesting. When did extended density floppy drives come out? I've never seen one in the wild, but I've seen a lot of BIOSes with them. And then this one can auto-detect the hard drive. Yep. And as a reminder to all, we are still raising money for Child's Play charity through the remainder of this year. And it would be really amazing if we could actually hit our goal before the year ends. So, all right, let's see if this works. So, I want to say that ED was the PS2 and it was an IBM invention, but I don't know. I remember ED being on a lot of ThinkPads of the era, but I've never seen it. I've never even seen a diskette in person. Okay, so it's complaining hard drive controller failure. Obviously, we are having a... This is fine. Everything is fine. Let's see. Why are you not seeing the hard drive? The hard drive is there. Okay, why did I screw? Is it, you don't see a hard drive? Let's get a boot disk in there and let's take a closer look. Yeah, let's also unpause the VM because that'll be useful. Let's get a boot disk and just see if it's being stupid because I have seen stupid. I have climbed the mount. I've climbed Mount Stupid. And I've seen from its peaks. Let's see here. Here we go. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So it says Type 47. Let me see if DAWS sees a hard drive. Yeah. See, I know Next Step. Next Step is the one non-DAWS Intel use of ED I'm aware of. In fact, I believe the code for ED lasted all the way until Mac OS 10 because I remember seeing it in Darwin. Because I have dug under the hood of that beast. Well, it's seeing a hard drive. You know, I'm actually going to go with DAWS 6 because I am curious to see if this will work or not. If it doesn't, I'll reinstall with DAWS 5 or if chat wants me to see me install OS 2, I will go with OS 2. I'm expecting this to fail, but I want to know why it fails. You know, well, Next Step was always kind of its own little thing because remember, the system itself was shipped as a CD magnetic MO disc, and that was basically the entire thing. They basically just shipped you Next Step on a read-write CD-ROM, and that was your system. The first Next system, I want to say it wasn't even the Cube that had a hard drive. It was later. All right, and I need a drink. So Hazel Wolfram, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to install the Windows NT September 1991 build. It is the earliest known Windows NT build, and it's from a period just after they got the GUI working. I've seen a little information about this build, but I haven't seen much. So from what I've been told about this build, it has to be installed from either DAWS or OS 2, because this was in the period where NT was still considered to be a successor to OS 2. This is actually before the IBM Microsoft divorce, although it's very close to that line. So I've been told that this won't work with DAWs 6, but I don't know if that's actually true, and I kind of want to see why it fails. So, well, I do know, so the installation instruction says, NT does not currently support installation from a floppy. It is necessary to pre-install DAWs 3.1 or later, or OS 2 1.2 or 1.3, and I'm guessing it means Microsoft OS 2, because there are differences between Microsoft OS 2 and IBM Microsoft 2. So yeah, because then it talks about using setup.bat and a DAWs NT dual boot. It doesn't even say if I could use HSPF, although OS 2 didn't ship with HSPF standard out of the box at that time, so I'm guessing the answer is no. I know the Comdex build, which is from November, can read HSPF and NTFS. So it's hard to say for sure what will and won't work. It is possible that the reason that DAWs 6 does not work, because I want to see why it doesn't work. I'm actually very curious about this, because DAWs forward compatibilities are very unusual, and it either means that there's a problem with HIMEM in DAWs 6, or there's a missing utility, in which case I can just install the supplemental disk and we can see what went wrong. And if that fails, then we'll install DAWs 5, and if we, time permitting, I'll even try a dual boot with OS 2, because as far as I remember, there was no official support for dual booting with OS 2 out of the box. From what I remember, NT will just clobber the master boot record, and to hell if OS 2 is currently installed. I believe that is the official NT 3.1 behavior. So HSPF, so the FAT file system has, shall we say, unfortunate characteristics when used on a hard drive. So IBM and Microsoft got together to make a replacement called HSPF that supported long file names and other nice attributes. And that was included with OS 2, but HSPF had some problems, so the NT project created NTFS. Because 95 and 98 were still DAWs based at its heart, they still were dependent on FAT. Ooh, okay, all right. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if this is going to work. I've actually been doing a lot of fun with data recovery on an old 486, which is actually right here next to me. If you've watched me on YouTube, and I highly recommend you subscribe to me on YouTube, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, I've been doing a 486 data recovery, and I did in fact get the data out. It involved excessive use of NetWare. So, and as a reminder, once again, we are raising money for Child's Play charity. It would be very nice if you please don't kill yourself to donate, but it'd be very amazing if we could hit that $300 goal before the year is out. This is my last stream for the year, but there are going to be some other 201 streams before the year ends. So, and I do want to hear, how are people's holiday seasons going? Because it's been interesting for me. I am not seeing any family because of the current global a copy of Oracle for the RT-PCX version of This is what I feel about this. Has the Oracle gone away yet? I'm scared. Is it safe yet? Okay. So, I should actually, I'm going to show you what my most recent eBay fail was. So give me a moment while this reboots. So this is the chat. This is where you press F for me. This is Oracleware or Oracle 7 with NetWare. That's how it's shipped. And in the box, I wasn't planning on showing this on stream tonight, but in the box is a full set of manuals, but the discs that were supposed to be included and were listed in the eBay auction were not included. So, yeah. Oh yes, and the music right now, it's just Pretzel Rocks, which is going to be really interesting because apparently streaming music is going to become a felony in the United States for reasons, because yeah, I don't really want to go into detail about that because it's just frankly depressing. Yeah, it's Fabrication by Zircon. Due to long and stupid technical reasons, the pretzel thing doesn't actually show up on the DEFCON 201 stream. It's actually in my personal stream because of reasons. Spit, duct tape, more duct tape. Yeah, okay, that's my story and I'm staying with it. All right, so let's figure out how we're going to actually install this. So let's go back to full screen capture. VM off, screen on. So as I said, this came as a set of zip files. So I guess we just want to turn this into a CD-ROM. I guess that makes sense because as far as I know, this was shipped as a CD-ROM. So let's call this NT unzip downloads Windows NT PTK, and then I want to do a make ISO FS NT free one alpha. All right, let me go with a little bit of a better file name. Alpha. I think I gotta do that. Now the question is, did I do that right? Because for reasons I never understand, every time I do a make ISO, somehow it always goes wrong. So let's see if I actually did that correctly. Hey, look, I've got a CD-ROM. I've got a CD-ROM with the correct well, sort of with the correct timestamps. Close enough. So, well, no, that's just the music. Yeah, I'm using Pretzel Rocks to get the music. I actually have it muted, so it doesn't play back on me. So, right. What was I doing? Things. Oh yes, let's install a CD-ROM driver. So we just turned the NT 3.1 alpha into an ISO. So let's install a CD-ROM driver. I know traditionally the Oak CD-ROM driver is liked, but I like going with the lazy option. I have a disk with the lazy option on it. Are you kidding me? I know I have it. I'm looking for the MSCDX extensions. Why am I not seeing this? I keep all my stuff meticulously labeled so I can... God, the more organized my shit is, the harder I have trouble finding it. I just need to put everything in a giant pile on the floor. Here it is, finally. Okay, there we go. Install. So this should prompt... No, this is installing the CD-ROM driver for DOS. I'm on Linux, so it's not like it's not like I have to install anything extra because God knows Linux is batteries included. Although I thought Windows 10 I thought Windows 7 and later could mount an ISO. I could have sworn that's out of the box functionality these days. Okay. So, all right. So let's put let's put our virtual CD in the drive. Because I remember doing this with the 3.1, with the early Comdex build. I remember it was annoying, but I did get this to work. So I'm guessing this is a similar process. So let's go. All right. Yep. I got to give the VM the three finger salute. Actually, that's an interesting... I just had an interesting... Trying to install this on OS2 would actually be quite tricky because there are no known IDE drivers for OS2 1.2 or 1.3. There are SCSI ones, but I've never gotten them to work. Yes. Okay, so, all right, there we go. So there's the CD-ROM. So let's look at the instructions. So let's just type setup and see what we see. So specify i386 or MIPS. Currently only i386 is installed. Optional parameter for Win32 development files. Optional OS2 based kernel debugger. Oh man. Oh man. I just realized this needs a serial port. This might not work. I don't remember if PCM emulates a serial port. I might have to go to 86 box. I want to say that 80 it does. Well, I do need to switch. Yeah, I might actually have to switch emulators here, because I know for a fact the Comdex beta will not boot without a serial port. I'm guessing that's true of this one too. So let's go back to full screen mode. And you go F off. We'll actually use we're actually going to use 86 box tonight. I should still have it on here. It's wine, not wine. Alright. And then I need to switch the VM window. Okay, that looks ugly as sin. I will fix that in a moment. The reason I want to use 86 box is 80. You know what? Let me go back to full screen so I can illustrate this. 86 box gives me direct control of the emulated serial ports. It's not quite as nice as say. That doesn't help. Yeah, see, I can set the serial ports here. I can't really put any devices on them as far as I remember. Yeah. Like I said, I have some issues with 86 box, but it's interesting. So PCM, the only way I got to build was building straight out of Git. And even then I had issues. I think I actually patched my source code to get it to build. The problem I have with 86 box actually isn't the well, first, I don't like that I can't turn the menus off. That just kind of irritates me. But I find that it's got some bugs in the UI, and like when I change the hard drive here, it might do what I think it's going to do. Oh yeah, and if I choose a hard disk outside of my root file system, yeah, I gotta move that hard drive I just made. The reason I gotta do this is that if I choose a hard drive on the Wine mount, it will actually crash. Like 86 box will go belly up. And I've not been able to figure out why, but it just does. Okay, so let's go to 86 box. NT alpha. No, do an overwrite. We've already done this. We've already installed it. This is an IDE hard drive on channel 00. Okay, it's got the geometry. Okay, it didn't do it that time. Sometimes when you do this, the geometry doesn't show up correctly, which just drives me crazy. The thing is that Wine should work correctly with symlinks. My guess is that the Windows NT behavior with symlinks, because believe it or not, semantic links do exist under NT. It's not well documented because you can only do it through the Win32 API. So, but you know what we can do is we can actually plug in a network card. I can't do PCAP for reasons, but we could. I doubt the streams exists, but we can try and see if it initializes. All right, we're not going to do a network adapter for now, but I will try a Sound Blaster. And I believe this is how it's hard coded. So here, and then the mouse, we need. I believe it needs a import bus mouse to work. And then I will leave it with a Trident card. If it has problems, we'll play with it. Okay, and then we just need to fix the settings. Or the settings could be actually remarkably close to what we need. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I usually use PCM for my day-to-day, especially because I can get networking to work under PCM. But I do recognize that 86 Box is a pretty awesome project. And I've committed code to them because I did some work in trying to fix the networking under Linux. There is apparently support for serial for PS2 and bus mice, but no one's gotten it quite to work. So I don't know. The Thunderbird, for the era this was released in, it makes sense because this was the original NT was coded in the late 1990, and a bus mouse is actually pretty easy to interface with because it's just ISA interrupts. A serial mouse is actually kind of tricky because you have to keep the entire state of the UART. Okay, so that's progress. It just didn't see the CD-ROM drive, probably because I did something wrong. Why don't you see a CD-ROM drive? You have a CD-ROM drive. What the? Seriously, why the hell doesn't it see a CD-ROM drive? It's an Epic CD-ROM. It's primary secondary, which... Yeah, it's not seeing the CD-ROM drive. It's in the right position. 486DX. Bus mouse. Sorry. It is possible. All right, let's use the sound card and see if it makes a difference. We can always go through the sound effects by hand, because my guess is the sound effects are from the Windows 3.0 Multimedia Edition. I'm guessing they're not the Windows 3.1 Janus sound effects, because this would have been almost a year before. This would have been a year before Windows 3.1 shipped. So the most recent first version of Windows with native sound support was Windows 3.0 Multimedia Edition. And from what I remember in the Comdex beta, that looked like that was the closest relative. Yeah, it's not seeing that CD-ROM drive. What gives? Okay, hold on. So the hard drive is on the IDE bus on 00. Let me move it to prime. Let me move it to the first controller slave. Let's see here. Yeah, well, I know they were doing a lot with Compact Desk Pros. So we'll see. I'm a little surprised they didn't support the AdLib card. Even Windows 3.1 has really pathetic AdLib support. Come on, test memory. I've never had... Okay. Hey, there we go. That did it. Okay, I had to move it to the primary secondary. First secondary. So let's put the disk in. Because, you know, that was only so much more annoying than it had to be. I do love that PC emulation has come so far. You can deal with all the wonderful things like bus conflicts that we used to deal with back in the day. Okay. So let's see here. So let's get set up. So let's do setup i386 MS Tools. I don't want to... let's not install the debugger. Let's just try this and see if it actually works. The entire CNT directory and subdirectories will be created overridden. Okay, go for it. So like I said, this is supposed to fail on DOS 6. I don't know why, but I want to see what happens. I already can see OS2 subsystem support going by. So there's already some kind of neat things here. So while we're here, I'm going to just crop out, of course. Oh, come on. Stop doing that. Just trying to crop out the, that. There we go. All right. That's better. Yeah. So from what I've seen of this build, and like I said, there's pretty much nothing on it yet, but besides a thread on beta archive, they basically use the in-development version of Windows 3.1, and then they just plopped it right on top of NT. 7 and 10 do not have OS2 support. They still have the hooks where it could be added in subsystem support, but it's not there out of the box. So I just saw debug being run, so that's the boot sector. That's the compiler getting installed. I'm actually curious if that is a OS2 based compiler or if that's an NT based one. There goes a whole bunch of samples. We are going to try and compile those. I'm telling you that we're going to try and compile them. Yeah. I probably don't need to use 86 box. I could probably get this to work in VB. Let's see here. Be sure to verify that os2 loader.nt and os2 loader are continuous. Running check disk. Oh, I like that. Okay, so the loader was not put in smart drive. Smart drive. That's what happened. All right, let's see if we can fix that. Yeah, because it's a non-contiguous. Wait, I can defrag. Oh man, this is taking me back. When was the last time I saw defrag? Optimize. There it goes. That wasn't quite what I wanted to do. I actually want to condense some blocks. Optimization method. Full optimization. Okay. This is how we used to make files be less. There we go. I don't like the fact that I've got a bunch of unmovables. Alright, so let's exit defrag. I mean, and let's give it the free finger salute. Let's see if something works. I've got my doubts, but we'll see. I have that feeling that it might be smart drive. Yeah, so DAWS 6 was basically a response to Microsoft shitting a brick due to DR DAWS. Boot NT or DAWS? Boot NT. Oh man, look at that. Is it booting? We definitely made it into the NT kernel. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. NT 32 build. Cool. So this is, so you can apparently just become admin by clicking this thing. So yeah, so apparently running defrag is the magic trick. So let's be NCOMMANDER. And we're just going to be an administrator. Okay. Administrator? Crud, I don't remember what the default username was. Is it in the README file? Oh, okay. So you have to... You can log in as system with no password. You can add a user. So let's try system with no password. Uh-oh. It locked up. Ladies and gentlemen, can we get some F's in chat, please? It locked up. Well, it's not completely locked, but it's not responding to keyboard input. Yeah, keyboard checked out. Let's get some F's in chat and give it a reboot. Yep. Oh, that's depressing. I knew this build was going to be unstable, but wow, we didn't even get past the login screen. I do want to try... We are going to install OS2 because OS2 has a very different boot up process, so I am actually very curious to see how this would work with OS2. We might even be able to test presentation OS2 compatibility. Okay, so let's try this. So we can log in as system, privileged. Hey, there we go. So what do you identify yourself as? Version debug, NT mode. So this is essentially what the Comdex build identifies itself. It identifies as running in NT mode. The icons here, I mean, that's the Windows 3.1 file manager. It's got Minesweeper and Solitaire. What version of Minesweeper is this? Minesweeper. And it crashed. It's dead. It's dead. Okay, note to self. Don't run about in Minesweeper. Yeah, well, this is... So from what we saw in the Comdex build, and I kind of wish I could run them side by side. Actually, you know, I can run them side by side. What am I saying? I should still have that VM saved. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. Desktop, come back, please. Okay. Let me see here. I'm just sorry. I'm tabbed out because I'm... There we go. I don't generally... I haven't been low on disk space, so I should still have the Comdex VM. I do. Let's see here. Can I run them side by side? I can. All right, let me go full screen here. So the left one is the Comdex beta build. This is from November. This was what was shown at the Comdex trade show. I installed this quite a long time ago. So you can definitely see the familiarity. The one on the left is 86 box, and this is the one we just installed. I'm trying to figure... Can I make these... Let me see if I can figure out how to make these bigger. If I put these both up here, and then I grab my desktop and resize it. Yeah, that works. That works. Yeah. So the Comdex build is actually in some ways very much closer to what we got with NT Advanced Server. It's definitely a little bit more polished, but I mean, as you look here, you can see that this still identifies in running in NT mode, but this one has like working users and such. So if we go back here, system. Yeah. So you can definitely see that this is from an in progress build. Some like Print Manager, that is the Windows 3.1 icon. WinMime is still called WinMine, but you can see that's a grayscale icon, which is kind of curious. Why the heck is it grayscale? Let's see here. What was WinMime in this version from? I'm guessing, yeah, this identifies it from being from the entertainment pack. And I'm guessing, assuming it doesn't crash this time, that's going to be the same here. Nope, that's a guaranteed system hang if I try and do that. Let's not try and do that. But I'm guessing it's the same. So, all right. Yeah, my chat, apparently my restream chat's busted. Hold on. I didn't notice it wasn't updating. There we go. No, every time I try and do the NT thing, apparently trying to load Minesweeper is just a bad idea. I do have a 486 sitting right here with a SCSI hard drive that we can actually try this on. And I just realized something. This is running off IDE. And NT 3.1 will not run off an IDE hard drive. So that means they had it working and it broke. What gives? Neozed, am I wrong about that? NT 3.1, the retail release has to be installed to a SCSI hard drive. But this is running off an IDE one just fine. So how is it doing that? All right, can I open FileMan? I can open FileMan. Holy cow, that looks ugly. That is ugly as sin. Oh man, look at that. It's like an... Here, let me put them side by side so you can see. That is ugly FileMan. Because the one in this build, that's pretty much identical aside from the spacing up here to what shipped in Windows 3.1. It is possible that this version of NT is using Int13. I don't know why it would use Int13. They should have needed... Let's poke around. If we look in the driver folder... Oh, clicking that was probably a mistake. So your driver. It's interesting. I can't actually seem to open any files. I double-click something. Yeah, this is a beta. This is a beta of FileMan. This behaves differently. Interestingly, this version of Windows actually does not have a registry. Like if we go, like half these folders are completely empty. Like we go here to bin. This is much closer to how OS2 was, and I'm not seeing any files. Let's open a command line. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. It crashed. It crashed. Yeah, it's not happy. I am not certain why it's not happy. I can't imagine it was this unstable when they actually shipped it. Let me see. Let's see what we've got for settings. Obviously, using a bus mouse was correct because it didn't crash. Oh! I just remembered. Okay. So, with this particular build of Windows, when anything generates a GUI exception, it's sent to the debugger. And the debugger is running on the serial port, and I don't have a way of accessing the serial port. I could probably tell it just to continue. Is there any way in 86 box I can plug that serial port into anything? Let's actually hard reset. Let's go back under DAWs. Let me look at the config. Because if I can turn the debugger off, it'll probably be more stable. Yeah. Oh, that's a useful link. That is, in fact, a very useful link. So, let's see here. All right, so let me tear this off. We'll read this together. Yeah. I have the distinct feeling we're going to have to set up the debugger, but that presents kind of a problem because in 86 box, we can't actually plug the serial port to anything. So let's see here. All right, so this kernel expects the debugger on COM2. The parameter comes obsolete. So set up the kernel debugger in a virtual machine, connects to the serial port. So apparently it does work under VirtualBox. Or you can run the debugger on your host system. And you have to run the debugger on Microsoft's release of OS2. That doesn't surprise me. Let's see here. Debugger will pass... Interesting. Yeah, so this is basically how you do it on modern versions. I just need to be able to plug the serial port into something. Okay, let me think about this. Let's try with Cume. I have my doubts that this will work, but Cume has a pretty easy way for me to plug serial ports into things. So let's see if Cume is stable enough to actually run this. I got my doubts, but it's worth trying. So that would be Cume system i386 mem16 CPU 486. No ISA does not work correctly, so we're just going to hope that it doesn't try and do something stupid. NT Alpha 3 boot C CD-ROM temp and blah blah blah. Let's see here. NT monitor std.io serial TCP 5555. Does that work correctly? I think it's 2. All right, let me look up at how you do serial ports in Cume. You can tell it's been a while. /server. That's what it is. Okay, and then it's waiting for connection. 555. Boot NT. Well, that's actually that's progress. That's kernel. That's the kernel loading. Now I don't remember offhand how dependent it is on. I lost chat. I think it hung, but it might be wanting a second serial port. Let's try 5556 server. And then telnet. Alright, boot NT. Yeah, we're actually getting output on both serial ports, I think. Maybe? I mean, we could build 86 box from scratch. I actually have a build environment for it. Thunderbird, if you've got the patch, I will try building it. Because I've got, like I said, I've got a full build environment for it. And I lost chat again. Boop. Chat's back. Yeah, so under Cume, it starts and then it hangs? Interesting. Yeah, but why wouldn't it boot? It was booting without the debugger. I mean, I agree with you. It looks like it's taking a dive. So I'm not completely sure what's going on. Let me see here. Because it says that the serial port, it's set to serial 2. So, COM2 Cume. Because, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. We're obviously going to need to do something. Alright, give me a moment. I'm just looking on how you actually add 2 serial ports. Cume add 2 serial ports. Because, you know, unfortunately, Cume likes to play with the fracking syntax every free version. So every time you, yeah, it says use the option multiple times to simulate multiple serial ports. So I guess it uses COM1 if there's only one. I don't know. That don't make sense to me. That make El Zilcho on the El Senso. You know, just for a little bit of giggles, let's just delete the serial part and just see what happens. I know on the Condex beta, this will send it straight to a crash. Well, that's interesting. The plot thickens. We could try VirtualBox. I mean, we got the Comdex beta runs in VirtualBox, so maybe... I mean, we got nothing to lose by trying, because in VirtualBox, I can actually do useful things. So let's try NT31 Alpha. And then this is just going to run really fast because, well, it's going to run fast. Other DAWs, yeah, that's fine. 500 meg hard drive, that is overkill, so yay. Put a floppy disk in. DAWs 6, enhanced tools. Yeah, because this is how I got it installed originally with the Comdex. So, we have 32 in the VM. Oh, and it went over here. All right, you can go back into, you can go off to your little sleepy hidey hole. Fortunately, this is running at native speed, so yay. Choose disk 2. So, I mean, this is a lot faster than it would be. So, I can get behind that. 3. I mean, imagine if computers were that speed back in the day. Drive C, 86 box, NT Alpha ISO. And then let's put the floppy disk in. And just as a reminder to folks, again, we are raising money for Child's Play charity. Anything you can donate really would make a huge difference. I'd love to see that bar hit 300 before the year is out. So let's see here. So let's install the old CD-ROM driver. I am curious to see if this will actually work. I'm not saying it will. I'm also not sure it won't. Sadly, VirtualBox got rid of the ability to run at emulated speeds with 6. So let's see here. Okay, so there's the CD-ROM drive. So setup i386, MS Tools. Yeah, that's all we need. And then we just have to defrag. I think I just tried to defrag the DAW. No, okay, there we go. Configure, optimization method, full defrag, begin optimization, exit defrag. All right, folks, moment of truth. Well, it started. Okay. Do I even... Wow, I even have a working mouse. I was not expecting that. Okay, it does hang in exactly the same way. So, I guess VirtualBox for the win? And yay for Windows not having any... oh. I really don't know what to say about that. All right, let's pull up that page, because obviously we're going to have to install the kernel debugger. There's, if we want to see more. Yeah, no, it's not, it's spewing out debug messages, and it needs someone to acknowledge them. I've seen that on OS 2 betas, because I have a few. So, I haven't seen them on the NT betas before, but it doesn't entirely surprise me. So, you sent me a really, really nice link, and I can't find the really, really nice link. Ah, here it is. So let's see here. So you can run it on... You can run the debugger with an emulator or hypervisor that supports blah, blah, blah. So I know you can run NT31 in DOSBox, or not DOSBox, in VirtualBox without having to patch it. It just works. Okay, so that looks kind of irritating, but it doesn't actually seem that bad. All right, yeah. So, let's install NT. Let's install Microsoft OS 2.1.3. Oh, I didn't actually know VirtualBox had a thingamajig. NT debugger. And you are OS2 1X. I'll give you 16 megabytes of RAM. And that's fine. Okay, floppy disk. Yeah, I did not expect that to work in VirtualBox. I'll be completely and totally honest. And I've got 3.1. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. I don't have a CD. The biggest problem I have with this is I don't have a CD-ROM driver for this version of NT. Or this version of OS2. But we can get around that problem. Accept the predefined. Okay. Where's the three-fingered salute? There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I was a little rushed. The camera is not in the right position, but to actually get the camera in the right position in my apartment, I'd have to move my desk because I keep my apartment set up one way when I'm filming YouTube videos for the YouTube, and I have the camera another way for when I'm streaming. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, holy crap, brain, please work. OS2 recognizes that you have the following display adapter. IBM PS2 display adapter. I don't think that VirtualBox emulates a PS2 display adapter. I really don't think it does. I think it's a VGA card. We do have it's a PS2 mouse. We're just going to accept the configuration as is. You know, and let me see if I can get this to go full screen because technology has just proven it doesn't like me tonight. Okay, and let's just get rid of the menu bar so it looks less tacky. There we go. Hey, look, that almost looks professional. Okay. So now we just need to install OS2 1.3, and then I'm going to have to do shenanigans, like magic shenanigans, like true proper shenanigans, rip hard drive space, because I don't have a way to actually put the CD-ROM into OS2 1.3. So I guess I'm going to have to mount the hard drive. I mean, I can't think of another way to do it. Unless I put a second hard drive in. But we'll also be able to test dual booting. Which is something I kind of want to do. So, you know what? This is a win-win-win. Although, maybe it's only a win for you guys because I'm sitting here installing OS2 1.3 on a Wednesday night at the end of 2020. Something has gone horribly wrong with my life here, people. Okay. So, now we've relished the fact that NCommander's life is NCommandery. Let's go back to getting OS2 installed. C drive is not ready. Try that again, please. The C drive is ready. The C drive is fine. The C drive, I hereby command that the C drive is ready. Yeah, I wish more emulators had the mount fat things. I've actually wanted to see if I can get that to work with NetWare or personal NetWare. So I have an easier way of punting files because I have a lot of machines that I have NetWare drivers for, but nothing else. All right, and then send Alt-Control-Delete. Man, I like that boot speed. I like that boot speed. So, all right. So, obviously, we made it in. So, I'm going to shut down the machine because we need to do some stuff under the hood. So if we go back to the PDK, what we need is the OS2 debugger. And so where is that debugger? I want to see if these examples are OS2 binaries or if there's something else. Okay, so these are for Windows NT. Interestingly, they actually have a version of the NT debugger. And what the heck am I listening to on this background music? Let's choose a different track. That's better. You can mount here. You're going to see how I do VDI. So the way I do this is cheap. I go to the VirtualBox folder. I go to OS2, and then I use CUME-NDB to connect it to. I think I've got 0 in use because I was futzing with this. No, I just did a reboot earlier. So mod probe NDB. There we go. And then I should be able to just mount that. Wow, I somehow managed to choose a track worse than what we were listening to. Oh, you know, I just realized I got this backwards. The syntax goes the other way. I'm surprised that didn't error out. There we go, OS2. NDB 0 part 1. Let's put it on the mount directory. And I'm just going to copy the whole NT folder in. Let's make a mtd. Okay, all right, that takes care of that. And then you mount it. And all right, let's boot her up. Okay, there we go. All right, so wow, I can't get used to that boot speed. So if we take a look here, there's our NT folder. Let's get a command line. So what we need to do is that we need to find the debugger, because I have done NT debugging before, but I admittedly have never done it under OS2, so I don't know how different this may or may not be. So bin OS2. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. That's actually a different build of the 386C compiler. So this is when they were still cross-compiling stuff. So what I am looking for is the debugger. I think I have to run set nvin. Okay, so where is... So it's in install... I just want to find it, and then we'll see if we can actually get it to work. Because I really do want to look at this more in depth, but I need to keep it running for more than 3 seconds. So I don't see a 386 debug. Did something not copy? Okay, hold on. Let me go back to the... I just realized I didn't... My windows are goofed. Okay, let... 386. Okay. All right, that's good. So it tried to connect and it couldn't open COM0. So that's perfect. So let's pull up the instructions on how we get these COM ports to work. I want to say you don't actually have to do anything special for OS2, but frankly, I am used to stupid software. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so it didn't actually install it. So device OS2 COM0 1 free F8 for... I actually remember doing this back in the day. I actually vaguely remember that OS2 was incredibly idiotic about its COM ports, and you had to basically do this, which you really shouldn't have to do, because COM ports are one of the few pieces of hardware on an AT class machine that you can actually reasonably auto detect. So we want, let's see here, let's figure this out. Check my view. So we want you to listen on COM1, COM2. I'll leave COM2 disconnected for now. And how do I want to do this? I gotta start these in the right order or stupid thing. So I think I need to just start you on 5555, and you're not going to connect, you're going to listen. I always forget how you do this. Is it just 5555 localhost? Let's just try that. Well, that's actually a good sign. Okay, so that's booting. Looks like it's might be waiting for the serial ports to become available. Okay, it is listening on port 5555. So while that's trying to start up, it's probably, like I said, it's probably waiting for something to connect. So you're going to be connected. This says to use port 2. So we'll try it. TCP IP, you're disconnected. And you're going to connect to 5555. Start. Let's see here. Connect to existing. You need to be localhost 5555. Oh, look at that. I goofed somewhere. The file PM shell does not contain a valid program. What did I do? How did I do that? Did I screw up somehow? No, it just blew up. It just blew up on its complete own power. I should be amazed that it's just working on VirtualBox to begin with. So, you know, all right, let's go full screen. I shouldn't have actually started that yet. Debug i3a6kd. And that's going to wait for it to connect. Then we go back here. Reset. Moment of truth. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We've actually got debug messages. Look at that. Folks, we've got a kernel, we've got the debug going. So now we can actually see why NT is crashing. So let's try this. So system. Let's try WinMine. And it's frozen. Yeah, it's frozen. I can't quite remember. Frig. Okay. So obviously the GUI still has quite a bit of issues in it, because we're looking here and yeah, it's not having it. It's not having it. If I reset, if I control boot NT, I have that distinct feeling it's debugger initialized, memory available. So that bar is going to go like that. Yeah, obviously it's having some issues. So, like, I can open control panel. I can go to ports. I guess I just need to be careful about what I'm trying to do. Yeah, see, that gave me an assertion tag. Okay. But that did actually get further. I'm trying to remember How do you do this? It's been so long since I've done this. Wait for the bootloader. Think you have to send it a break. I vaguely remember it's control break or similar. But I'm not even getting broken into the debugger. I want to say, yeah, but the thing is, I'm not getting a debug break. Which is concerning. Yeah, like notice I can hit NT and it resets. Like I'm not getting a break there. So let me go system. So apparently let me see if I can run salt. Let's try this. That worked. We actually got a compiler. So let me see here. WinVer doesn't exist. Ver, it says it's NT version 3.2. So apparently just clicking that command works. I don't have a compiler. Let's see here. Can I build the samples? What do we want to try? Make all? Let's do make all. Well, it's compiling something. That is annoying. Well, it did compile. Yeah, look at that. That's Microsoft Cough Linker. I think that's from Xenix. I am nearly certain that is from Xenix. So let's try this. Memserv. So this shows shared mapping. Okay. All right. We've got a generic demo. Generic. That is very generic. That's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a generic demo. It's a generic demo. Yeah, let's go to this. Since we've actually got it wrong VM. Since we've actually got it running for all of about 3 seconds for the time being. Yeah, but that is a 32-bit application, which is actually kind of interesting. I'm curious if any of these, like if I open dialog editor, I remember this utility being in the earlier SDK. This must be in the period, let's see here, what version of Visual Studio would this correspond to? This might be before Visual Studio. But it does seem considerably happier. It does seem considerably happier now that I've got the debugger attached. And I will switch back if something interesting happens on the debugger. So let's see here. Let's open the clock. Yeah, this hasn't changed much. 91 build date here. Calendar. Yeah, that's looking pretty much the same. Win bezel. I'm guessing this is what became the screensaver. I know they used OS 2. So NeoZed, the toolchain in the Microsoft toolchain is built from the Xenix one. I know that for a fact because me and Michael went through it quite heavily when we were looking at Xenix. So we know the toolchain started life on Xenix because the 8088 compiler in Xenix 1.0 has distinct similarities to the compiler on Xenix 2.2, and that one identifies itself as Microsoft C Compiler 6. I don't have a Xenix VM on hand, or I could show it. So, and there's other reasons to believe it's the same compiler. Because Microsoft actually supported cross-compiling from Xenix to Windows, and there is some evidence that they compiled early Windows 1 and 2 from Xenix. So okay, let's take a look at this. So this notepad, what does it say? Yeah. So it doesn't support here. So we can take a look at the configuration files. I'm actually kind of curious to see what's in there. Yeah, it's a lot happier now that we've got the debugger plugged into it, even though it's not printing anything to the debugger. I mean, we've stayed running for more than 5 minutes. So from what I remember in the Comdex beta build, there was no registry in that version, so there's no registry in this one. These config files are basically built into a runtime registry, but it's incomplete. So we have native Windows NT applications, DOS devices, environment, NT version. So okay, so console. I'm just seeing if there's anything kind of interesting in here. Okay, and I am not listening to whatever just decided to come on air. I will note that WinTab does work fine. Let's see. Let's try another one. Yeah, I can work with that. I can work with that. So this was something I was told about. There is a distinction in Windows binaries between character and GUI subsystems. On modern NT and on this one, they're just handled by the Win32 subsystem, but you can see at this period of time, they're still considered separate. And then you can see that there's the OS2 subsystem and the POSIX subsystem. Like if we keep scrolling. Yeah, you can see that the subsystem is slightly different. I've always been meaning to try and like take the old OS2 subsystem and see if I can get to run on a more modern version of Windows. That might be a stream in the future. Do give us a like and follow. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's Landman. If we could get this to run on 86 box, we could actually try plugging it into a Landman domain. I would be actually curious to see if that would work. The answer is probably not, but it'd be fun to try. And I just lost chat again because, of course, I lost chat. There we go. So let's see what else we got in here. Okay. So these are installed network transport. So it looks like just the loopback and the NetBIOS frames. That's not surprising. I know IPX came very late to this particular party. Those are system services. So, not that... Whoa, wait, what was that? So if you're at the top of the file and you hit page up, it goes all the way back around. Hold on, let me scroll by hand. Go back to the top. Oh, cool, I found a bug. I like finding bugs. Bugs are amusing. Let's see what other interesting things we've got to look at. So this is setting up Windows NT on a network. So apparently network support is actually usable. Yeah, so it does only support the NetBIOS, NetBEUI, NetBIOS protocol, yada, yada, yada. So it uses NT user, start server, must be logged in as system. We should check to see if the format command... Oh. Keyboard checked out. No, it didn't. Hold on, wait a minute. The keyboard is partially checked out. Let me try that again. So apparently if I use this... Yeah, I can use the keyboard in anything but the console. Which is really not that useful, but okay. Let's see here. Is there a reboot function? I'm guessing not. I am actually, let's see here. If I log off. Well, That probably makes sense because we were logged in as system. But it's not supposed to do that. Alright, let me see. If I go back to here... Yeah, I still have no working keyboard. Let me reset it. So, yeah, speaking of the Twitch widget on GitHub, I was not actually... Okay, so apparently I am there. Last time I looked at it, it was pointed at the main DEFCON 201 one and not myself. But, okay. That's fine. This is fine. This is all fine. I'm fine. We are running old Windows NT and the world is not on fire. I'm annoyed that I have to specify the world's not on fire, but... Alright. So that format command is definitely from MS-DOS. Because there's no option for file system, and I mean it says format disk for use with DOS. There's no /s option, though, which is kind of interesting. Alright, so let's see what other sample applications beyond that we came with. So, NT, MS Tools, samples. Because we could definitely try a Hello World, but I'm thinking that's been done for us. So let's try this GDI demo. Polyblazer. Random objects. That's going to lead to a GDI crash. Bouncing ball. Oh, that's a really fancy demo screen. And it was built specifically for NT, for this version of NT. Alright, so let's take a look here. What do we want? Let's look at select. I have no idea what select is. Demo. Demo select application. Oh. It literally is selecting stuff. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It looks like it's just a demonstration of shared libraries. Okay, I can live with that. Let's look at cursor. Use the mouse button in this program to select for a example of graphic selection, or press enter to reflect the program's state. Okay, enter. What? What? I don't get this one. I'll be honest. These are some weird demos. I wonder if these were the ones in the Windows 3.1 SDK, 3.0 SDK. I've never actually used the free 0 SDK, so I don't actually know. Apparently, according to Microsoft, there's only 4 states: South Dakota, Washington, California, and Oregon. Oh, wait a minute. Those are checkboxes in the menu. NeoZ, do you remember? That's not Is that standard in later Windows? I want to say it is, but not like that. Okay, hold on. I actually need to look at the code for that. That one I want to see. I want to look at the code for that one. Yeah. Well, I want to see if that's something they custom coded, or if that is something unique to this build of Windows. Let's see here. Where's the demos? It would be under MS Tools examples. And I gotta change the music again because no, we are not listening. I don't know what we're listening to, but it's making me want to cry. And we were looking at menu. All right, so I see check on and check off.bitmap. Let's grab the code window. Yeah, hold on. We are changing the music because this is not. So when we look at languages, C, Quick C. Oh, this is a different program. This is a different program. We'll come back to this one. No, this is the right program. So we were looking at states, but I'm not seeing states listed here. Let me look in the dialogue. No. No. Yeah, okay. So where is the states coming from? Yeah, so those are the check marks. So that's the picture showing up in the menu, but I didn't think Windows allowed you to do that. How is it doing that? Here it is, append menu. Shrink bitmap, set menu item bitmaps. Is that a Windows No, that can't be a real Windows function. Okay, apparently it is a real Windows function. I don't think I've ever seen a program use it, though. What? Why is this a thing? And why is it that, like, there isn't a lot of really tacky applications that didn't use this? Because God knows there was a lot of tacky things in the early 90s. And I do not remember anything putting icons in menus. I mean, like I said, oh, frick, and there goes the keyboard. I mean, I remember some really tacky stuff in that time period. And that's one of the tackier things that I've seen. So the other thing I was kind of curious about was that supposedly it is possible to actually disable. Let's see here. Let's take a look here. It is possible to disable parts of the yeah, like the font is all screwy with this, because that's the free 1 behavior, the free 0 behavior. See, I'm clicking on the dialog box and it's not dropping. I have to click right here. That's a free 0 behavior. It's very specific to that version. So here's the Windows accounts list. Oh, look at that. Until the registry supports long names. Wow. Until then, so apparently the registry used to be limited to 8 characters. All right, let's see what else we gotta work with here. So MSV 1.0. So this looks like it's a template file for something. Okay. So I am a little, so I want to keep digging this around. So apparently tape drives were given letters. I can't imagine what that possibly was used for. So your comm spec. Currently, I'm a little bit curious if it is possible to still bring up NT in console mode. Because the very early versions of Windows NT used a command line. Yeah, see, here we go. We've got Window exec shell. So what else is in there? Let's take a look and see what the other binaries are. Because at this point in time, Windows NT should have been running on MIPS NT and x86. They might have still had the free 60 build still going, but there's no way of knowing. So let's see here. So, oh, I just realized I got this on the wrong view. Because I am curious if there's a way we can still start the operating system with a command line. Because the current startup binary is... So it starts the debug subsystem. And then it starts WinExec as the shell. So where is the WinExec shell? So apparently WinExec is missing. Interesting. Well, so NeoZ, the character mode UI in NT is always still been around. It wasn't until Vista it was completely purged, because it is possible to do command line input output on the NT 3.1, 3.5, and 4 shells. In fact, Tinox, who is unfortunately not here tonight, he did an example of an NT native application version of A-Clock, although I think he actually implemented it as a device driver. So the character mode UI did exist for quite a long time. I'm curious if the shell is still around. That's what I'm most curious about, if the shell is still around. I'm guessing not, but no one has reported that it is or is not here. Let's take a look. Debug. So that's the debugger. Yeah, so I see LAN manager services. I see loader. SMSS. Why do I not remember? Half these I don't. My NT's a little bit rusty. Let's see here. I think that's service manager. It is. Okay. Yeah, look, you can still see references to NTOS2, which was what the code name for this was. And those are pretty much gone by 3.1. It's actually kind of interesting. You can see all the source files that made this up. Let's see here. So if you disable the Windows subsystem in nt-user.config, well, we've got the debugger plugged in. So you know what? Let's try it. So let's just go and unplug the... where is it? Let's just unplug the subsystem and see what happens. So Win32 GUI, we'll just comment that one out. Nothing to see here. And let's see what happens. NT. Oh! That's a command line. That is, in fact, a command line. That is a command line that is not the debug prompt. We are directly talking to the service manager. Yeah, look, there's command line variables. Can I run start CMD? Okay, so that doesn't work. Yeah. Wow, okay. So, yeah, definitely there's quite a bit more here. Obviously, this is probably the vestige of the old command line based one. I've never heard that the NT GUI, the NT command line builds actually use the VGA card. I mean, it entirely makes sense that they would do it over serial because God knows serial is loads easier to deal with. And they probably only implemented a VGA console towards the end. So I can drop into debugger. So if I send a break, I probably just crashed it. Yeah, I just crashed it. That is really fascinating. I've never seen that before. Yeah, because here we go. Now that time we got a lot less messages here. Warning, system failed. Warning, bad system initialization. Windows subsystem has not been started. Blah 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 blah. So I'm assuming I can launch some sort of application here, but I don't know what. So path. Season manager mode. Feature not supported. So what is running? I'm guessing this is all... You know what? Yeah, this is native mode. What... does this still exist in later NT builds? Because I have never seen this. I've never even seen this documented before. Yeah, I'm guessing that this is probably vestiges of what was the original NT command line versions, because from what we know from Dave Cutler, who built the early NTs, let's this is history with NCommander time, because let's hold that thought. Hold that thought. Sorry, that was a message I just had to respond to right then and now. I've got a slight... we have a hard stop at between 10 and 10:30 that I'm going to have to go off air, so that's just related to that. So let's do history time with NCommander right now. So the original NT3... So... Windows NT was a, let's start at the very beginning. So let's begin with OS2. I'm sorry. I shouldn't, we need something less upbeat than this music, because this is not the music we used to talk about OS2. We need a more depressing music. I would, we probably could run auto check. From this command line, but it's kind of neat it's just neat that it exists, because like I said, I've never seen it. So, but let's talk a little bit about the history of NT. So, NT was the DOS itself was supposed to be replaced by OS2. OS2 was designed by IBM and implemented by Microsoft, and I'm using that very specific terminology because IBM essentially strapped a boat anchor to OS2 and sank it, because there's some very stupid design decisions in OS2 that IBM essentially mandated. And it kind of goes downhill from there, because then they made changes to Windows 2.0 to create Presentation Manager, and let me put it to you like this way. They somehow managed to implement preemptive multitasking in such a way that a crashing presentation mode application can lock up the whole system. That is the epitome of failure, folks. So, and that is kind of how I sum up OS2. So, NT was supposed to be OS2 done right, essentially. And it was meant to be, there was the first 16-bit versions of OS2, although that's a misdemeanor, because they do run in protected mode on the 286 using segments. Then we were supposed to have OS2 2.0, known as Cruiser, and that was supposed to ship in 1991, and it didn't. 91, and it didn't. And then OS2 NT was supposed to be the follow-up act and become NT 3.0. And as history has taught us, Microsoft and IBM had Wikipedia kind of puts it the best, a breakup. So it all went down the drain in 1990 was where it all started to kind of go off the rails. But 1992, I think it was as late as 1992 when the breakup was finalized. When was the breakup finalized? Yeah. So it, yeah. The Joey spinoff to Friends. So Warp is actually not the Joey spinoff to Friends. That's actually OS2 2.0, which was a better DAWs than DAWs and a better Windows than Windows, because OS2 excelled at running in DAWs and Windows apps, but you actually got worse behavior running presentation manager applications. That was the other big thing, is that OS2 NT was to break the Intel dependence. There was so one of the reasons I've heard cited, and I generally believe this myself, if we look at IBM PS2 machines, IBM was very late at bringing a 386 based machine to market. If we go down to the models list, I mean, we go all the way down to the models list. Their first 386 machine was in 1992, the Model 25 with a 386 SX. The 386 came out on the market in 85. It was launched in 85, but it really wasn't available until 87 or 88. So the reason that I've heard cited for this, and I believe this, is that IBM had meant the PC to be basically built off commodity hardware. So nothing was sourced in 87. Oh, yes, you are correct. No. Yeah, wait. Model 80. I thought the Model 80 had a... Okay, so they did. So the reason I've heard sorted, I stand corrected, that Intel was very slow, IBM was very slow with the 386, was that Intel had decided for the 8088 and the 80286, Intel licensed the design to AMD, and AMD created its own implementation of it. This is why a lot of Intel chips have, from this period, have the AMD mark on them. For the 386, Intel decided to kick AMD to the curb. AMD countersued Intel and won. So AMD was granted the rights to the 386 and 486 socket designs, and the agreement lasted up until the Pentium. So that's why you can get pin-compatible AMD processors for the 386 and 486. And this is a lot of why I've heard cited that IBM was very slow at embracing the 386, and specifically 386 specific code, because they couldn't get a second source of 386 processors until AMD won their lawsuit. And I believe they won. Let's see here. When did they win? Because I actually did quite a bit of research in this. Here we go. AMD versus... That's the wrong one. I need the older... There's been a few lawsuits, haven't there? I need the original one. Original lawsuit. Let's see here. I actually do want to find this. Let's try 3A6. Yeah, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Here's the original one. So, okay, so that was actually much later than I realized. So, here's the technology agreement. Yeah, there was a lot. This was a very, very messy legal case that amazingly never gets talked about on how AMD and Intel essentially strapped nuclear bombs to each other and went running for the nearest patent lawyer. Because basically Intel was on the receiving end of an antitrust settlement. And I'm just going to drop this link in chat. There's a lot of other resources because, wow, that link got mangled. Let me find a URL shortener. We'll use Bitly. That link just got mangled. There we go. Yeah, so this is part of the reason why I've heard that IBM was very slow with the 386, because commodity 386s were coming out on the market by 89 and 90. I mean, even 486s were starting to become kind of common at that point. But the 286 held on mostly because IBM. So the biggest difference between a 286 and 386 processor is what's known as virtual 8086 mode. And it also supports paging. Paging is kind of irrelevant for this discussion, but virtual 8086 mode solves the boat anchor problem of trying to run real mode code while you're running a protected mode operating system. The way that OS2 ran DAWs applications was a giant hack on the IBM versions of OS2. It actually does a triple reset and puts the processor back in real mode. In Microsoft decide to YOLO and uses the load all instruction to do the same thing. And load all is a little notorious on how well documented the undocumented opcode is. I'm going to drop reading material for this because this gets pretty esoteric. I know a lot in chat will actually like this, but yeah. So essentially, OS2 and also HIMIM used Unreal mode. So it gets kind of messy. So basically, NT was designed to clean up this pile of droppings, and because I think even by the late 80s, IBM realized they had shot themselves in the foot. I don't know where they shot themselves in the foot particularly, because OS2 1.0 is actually not a bad experience. It's not great, but because it doesn't run Presentation Manager, it's considerably more bearable on period correct hardware than the alternatives. I need a drink. So, continuing the history lesson, and this is actually something I know we'll find in the SDK, so let's pull this up. So, Microsoft, knowing that they were basically dealing with an antiquated pile of garbage known as the original OS2 kernel, hired Dave Cutler away from Digital Equipment Corporation, not Digital Research, who might be best known for creating VMS. And Cutler decided that he was going to build an entirely new operating system. And all right, let's open WinNT, because I do actually want to show, because there's actually, I know this is in the header file, so I'm going to find it. Keep going down, blah, blah, blah. So Cutler basically decided to rebuild VMS as a more generic operating system. For those who are familiar with OpenVMS, it's a code base that ran for VAX microprocessors, which were then runs on top of an emulator on top of Alpha, which then runs on an emulator on top of Itanium. No, I am not in fact making that up. The Itanium version of OpenVMS actually runs a lot of the VAX code in emulation, which it also did under Alpha. They essentially did an Apple. So the general industry belief at the time was that the x86 architecture was basically was basically dying. And the RISC-based architectures were going to take over. Now, no one expected x86 to die a fast death, but speaking of VMS, I actually got license packs from VMS Technology, and I'm on the waiting list for the public release of the Intel build of OpenVMS. So that is going to show up at some point. In fact, oh wow, my camera went away. If I could plug in FailServer and not blow out all the lights in the county, we would actually be looking at OpenVMS on FailServer this stream, because it would have been a beautiful way to end 2020. But I can't plug it in without the world going vroom. Anyway, so the industry logic was that complex instruction set processors, such as the Intel 86 processors, as well as the Motorola 680 XO, they were destined to the big bit bin of history. So the NT project started life on the Intel 860. There is some belief that they started on an earlier processor, but I've never actually seen any proof of it. But it is known that they got it running on the 860. Now, the 860, despite the fact that it is made by Intel, is not an x86 processor. It is, in fact, an abomination. The 860 was a hideously complex RISC microprocessor, and I'm using the words RISC in quotes, that ran really slow. I've been told that, yeah, on paper performance was impressive for a single chip solution, but real world performance was slow. Basically everything that went wrong with the Intel 860 also went wrong with Itanium. It's like Intel made the same fracking mistakes twice. Now, I have never seen an i860 in the wild. In fact, I can't even find freaking documentation of it on YouTube, which is a little surprising because God knows I can find pretty much everything else. The long and short of it is that the 860 was a colossal flop for Intel. So, Jack, the fact of the matter is that the U.S. government, as far as military hardware goes, is about 30 years behind the time. So, I know that the i680 was used in quite a bit of hardware, but I've never actually seen a standalone system. And the Motorola 88K did get used in quite a bit of computers. I've never seen anything with I know they existed, but I don't know anything that actually used them. Angry Jack keyboard sounds. Oh, you mean like this? Because that's what Angry Jack keyboard sounds sound like. And ignore my start menu. So, going back to the NT kernel, when the 860 went, the Microsoft official decision was that they were going to port from the 860 to the MIPS microarchitecture. And MIPS was a very, very popular processor for this era because IRIX ran on MIPS. It wasn't a patented microarchitecture because it had originally been created for student learning, and then someone actually built it into silicon. So there was quite a few MIPS processors. In fact, you can even find new MIPS processors today. They're niche compared to ARM, but they do work, and you can buy them. So NT was ported to MIPS. And then from MIPS, they ported it back to Intel 686. And as the story goes, I can't verify this, Microsoft has a de facto rule that Windows must run on x86 and one other architecture at all times to prevent Intel-specific bullshit from getting into the source tree. And as far as I can tell, that has been true. It is known that 2000 was kept alive internally in Microsoft on DEC Alpha, and they kept Itanium alive all the way until Windows 7 and 2008, at which point they started the ARM port. And I know Microsoft had a working ARM port much, much earlier than they publicly released. It was sort of a open secret in the ARM development community that Microsoft had been playing in that space, especially because they had already done the hard part. Microsoft's own compiler team had compilers for Windows CE. Windows CE had an ARM port. So once you've got a compiler that you need targeted, it's pretty straightforward to actually do the rest. Yeah, I actually have Win's hardware here, Jack. I don't know when we're going to ever get to it, but we are going to get to it. And, you know, I do actually have a great idea of how we can end the stream, and we are going to bring the camera back. We are going to bring the camera back. Did the camera, like... Okay, so the camera... OBS didn't fart. The camera just died on me. Hold on. Yeah, no, my camera is completely deadlocked. Okay, so... because I just got an eBay box. I got an eBay box with software from Aston Tate, and I'm hoping chat knows what I'm talking about. It was a very famous product that I got in their box that gets no love in the year 2020. Yeah, I remember. I think that's how I originally found your blog, Neozed. Was I was actually trying. This was back in the days before the big preservation efforts happened, like WinWorld, and I. This was before the NT Risk compilers had been saved, and I was trying to find a way to do cross compiling two MIPS. It is in fact dbase free. The camera. Oh wait a minute. You know what? I've got the other camera. I can't point in a good place. It's dbase +3. It may be unused. I don't know. We don't have an archived version of it that is unused, but the seller couldn't guarantee condition, so we'll find out. So we'll see. It may also be the boxed version of Linux that I've been waiting for the last 3 weeks because I haven't opened it up yet. Or it could also be the Dutch oven I ordered that also got lost in the mail, but I don't think you guys are really that interested in seeing me make sourdough. I could be wrong. If you guys want to see a Cooking with NCommander stream, make yourself known in chat, and we can actually do that. That can be, in fact, a thing that happens on the stream. So, basically, as the end to cap out the NT story, after they got it running again on x86, Digital actually sued Microsoft because Windows NT and OpenVMS have not only similarities, it's pretty much copy and paste in some places. So, as part of the agreement, now the agreement's under seal, but this is what's generally believed. The agreement was that Microsoft would support NT to DEC Alpha, and that's why we got the DEC Alpha port in the NT3 at the end of the NT 3.1 era. It was officially released with 3.5, but I know there's versions of Advanced Server of 3.1. So that's sort of how that all played out, because obviously even at this point they hadn't even started development for the alpha build because there is no remnants of the tree, and you can find all sorts of missing stuff in the NT source tree that they had started on and then kind of chalked. So to continue the story, so DEC Alpha sued, and the settlement is kind of why we got NT on DEC Alpha. Yep. So, yeah, okay, I have an entire rant saved up for the mock kernel. I don't know when I'll ever get a chance to unleash it, because it's been fermenting since I was 20, and the first time I ever dug into a mock code base, because mock was the moment where the industry grabbed the idiot ball and did some really stupid shit. See Mac OS 10. Because you and I, Neozed, dug under the hood of Darwin 0.1. We know what is in that train wreck of a code base. And that's one of the better mock implementations known. Oh, you went there. Jack, you went there. Side Pocket, if you are on stream, please smack Jack upside the head. I need this right now. Please smack the Jack. Oh man, that sounded dirty. I'm sorry. So mock. Okay. How do I explain this? How do I do this? You know what? I've got the old camera. The old camera is USB based. So you know what? Hold on. I can get the facepalm cam on. Bear with me. Testing. My voice is my passport. Verify me. No, I didn't unplug my mic. The mic has a kind of iffy USB cable, and I must have jarred it when I plugged in the camera. Oh, God, you're going to clip that, and I'm never going to live it down, are you? So, yeah, so I don't know the last part your heart's heard, so I'll backtrack. So, mock is basically when the industry goes and embraces a bad idea, and it was a bad idea at the time, and a lot of people thought it was a bad idea at the time, and no one learned from it. Linus Torvald ripped mock a new one. He has a really scathing rant as part of the larger Tenenbaum-Torvald's debates, where he basically calls mock a bloated train wreck, and he's completely right. So, yeah, holy cow. Let me see if I can do something more about this camera situation. I just slide to the left. You know what? Let me see here. If I clip it right here to my mic stand. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work because people apparently want to see face cam. Okay, if I clip you right here. You know what? That actually works. That's not even all that bad. So, mock was a really bad idea executed poorly. The largest problem is that mock has a very complicated IPC system, and on other platforms that aren't x86, it might have been a viable idea, but in practice it really wasn't because I've yet to see a good implementation of mock. The funny thing is that NT took a lot of design cues from mock, like subsystems, but even Dave Cutler, who was a big proponent of microkernels, basically said, yeah, no, and they dropped a lot of bits of NT into the kernel because they couldn't make it fast enough otherwise. So basically, mock was not a well-designed system, and because the industry locked onto mock for so many years, it actually set back microkernel research as a whole to the point that the concept was considered unviable in real world until L4 actually proved that it was, and it was just that mock was badly designed or badly implemented. And the thing is that there are cases of mock actually not being crap. Ironically, in OS2 PowerPC Edition and MK Linux. But yeah, I mean, if that's what I'm saying as examples. I actually, one of these days, I do kind of want to get lights going on a stream. I actually ran lights back in the day, but it's really weird, and that's about the best I can say about it. So that is basically the Windows NT story from start to finish. At some point, we might do a live stream where we basically go through every major version of Windows NT, upgrading in place, and exploring it more in depth. But I think we took a pretty good look at this version of NT. I mean, we found the freaking command line, which, all things considered, is pretty awesome because, well, the fact of the matter is that, as far as I know, the existence of the command line was known to exist, but it doesn't actually exist in any retail release. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take that back. I want to see something. I want to see something firsthand. Let's shut down the alpha VM. I should, if I go to my master VMs list, I should have 3.1. I do. Let me take a snapshot of this. I want to see what happens if we go into the registry and blow away the GUI subsystem tree. Oh man, I haven't used this one in a long time. That's a sign off for one of my YouTube videos. And it's running WordPerfect and completely hung. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh man, I remember this VM. This is the one where I restored NeoZed's backup. Holy cow, I haven't played with this thing in a while. Oh boy. All right, let's yeah, this is the one I really futzed with it. All right, so if we go, I don't remember what the registry editor was in this version. It wasn't regedit because regedit came with 95. That's the install folder. There we go. Okay, apparently, no, it wasn't regedit. I think it's in system 32. Regedit 32. I should have seen that one coming. So, is there a search feature in this version of the registry? I don't think there is. Find key. Win32 GUI. Okay, so we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to look for it. So let's look NT current version. I mean, we should know where to look because God knows we found this on the other one. Yeah, NeoZ, weren't you on the stream when I did this? When I restored your backup to with SQL Server? Let's see if we can find this. It might be in the control set. I doubt it, but maybe. Oh, there we go. Subsystems. Yeah, okay, so this is what I was talking about. Remember how I said that the NT subsystem was not was split between GUI and command line? This is what I was talking about. Because in this version, it's just Windows. Although now I'm really curious, if I copy these to a later Windows, will they work? So, yeah. So NeoZ, hold on. I will actually show you this because I thought I showed you this, but maybe I forgot that I showed you this. I didn't have that much trouble doing it. It was just more annoying than anything else. Frig. Yeah, so this is it running as SD, query, disk dump. Yeah, virtually fun dump. I remember I managed to get a full dump of the tables. Let me see here. Sysops. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Let's see here. Select star from users. Let's just go. Oh man, the UI shortcuts in this one. I can't remember. Let's see here. What was it? Yeah, this is also when Microsoft was doing that Fox motif thing, which really looked kind of crappy. I'm trying to remember offhand how you show tables. Okay, maybe it was user. You did something weird here, and I remember having problems with this. Well, if you want to help, tell me what the syntax is for listing tables, because God knows I don't remember it. Systables. Execute. That no worky. All right. Hold on. We're going to look this up because God knows I want to show the NeoZ I actually did restore his backup. Virtually SQL 4.2 list tables. Cuz I know I did this. I know I got it to work. Okay, so it's sysobjects. So select star from sysobjects. Okay, there we go. That actually sort of helped. And it's telling me, okay, I'm on the wrong database. That's the problem. So if I go back to the virtually fun database, and oh man, yeah, I remember this. This is bad. Let's see here. Sysobjects. Yeah, so that's the query plan. I don't want the query plan. I think you have to connect. No, it's not connect. DBs, virtually fun. Manage. Is it alter database? No. Backup restore. The easy thing to do would be to install Access and then use that to core the damn database. Is it? Yeah, frig. Let's see here. God, I can't actually remember how you do it. No, it's not Windows 10. It definitely is not Windows 10. Okay, it creates one row for each object within a database. So I'm currently on master. I need to switch. Crap. You know, this was the hard. Here it is. Change database. Change to virtually fun. There we go. From sysobjects. There we go. There we go. So that's why. So if we do select from users, and here I'm hoping you sanitized it. Well, you did sanitize it. Sort of. Yep, there we go. There's your user. User nickname, NeoZed. Yeah, so just as this is proof that I actually did manage to restore your backup. The hard part wasn't restoring your backup. The hard part was actually getting SQL Server to install. Because I had to do the manual duct tape install, which is why it's running in command line. This wasn't what I was intending to show, but I actually want to see. So if we pull back up the alpha build, let's go back to this. Did I kill it? No, I didn't kill it. So if we pull this back up, and this time we're going to go boot back into DAWs. We're going. Apparently, the boot sector did not survive. So we'll boot from a floppy disk. As soon as I find a working floppy disk, because I actually am curious, what happens on NT3.1 if we change the boot command line to be what it is on the other one? So the file I need to edit. Oh, frack me. DAWs edit. I need to. Is it ntconfig? I think it is ntconfig. Let's do a quick look. Subsystems. Where are the subs? Okay, here we go. So you can see here how the subsystems are changed. So what happens? I want to know if we change the server DLL. Although I don't know if I have. Let's see here. If we go back into the registry, I need the other registry. Okay, so if we go here, we can see that it's the same type of DLL. System type, Windows, bases, server is WinServe. Oh, I see. So they actually changed the syntax of this quite a bit. So it is probably possible. So do we have a GDI server DLL somewhere in this directory? Because that'll tell me if the command line actually has any sort of portability. GDI. Okay, so there is in fact a GDI server there in the directory. Fascinating. So actually, okay, all right. So actually, this makes sense to me. So what went wrong? Are you not here? Did my mic crap out again? Test? No, no, mic's fine. Mic is fine. So, okay. A big problem with early Windows NT was the graphics performance in the beta builds. This was well noted in tech news. So the Microsoft solution was to move GDI server from the kernel, from userland into the kernel. This build of Windows NT is from before they did that, because this has a separate GDI server loaded as a user space DLL. And here, it's not. So I am still curious what happens if I just delete this line. I suspect the whole thing just goes kablooey. But we made a backup of it. Actually, before we do that, well, we'll see if it panics. Let's see what happens first. I have that distinct feeling this is just going to explode because it probably needs that one line. All right. Remove floppy disk before rebooting. Yeah. Like I said, we've got a backup of this, so we can turn time backwards. So how far does it get? Okay, so there's OS Loader. Ooh. It panicked. Yeah, so what I basically did is, yeah, no, I figured that was what was going to happen. I probably would have to use a check build to even try and get this to work. So let me explain for those who are less familiar with NT what just happened. When you run a Windows application on Windows NT, it's not actually running natively. It instead runs through a mechanism known as subsystems, and this is in fact how Linux for Windows was implemented for this. The first version was implemented as a Windows subsystem. And these subsystems are directly built on top of the Windows NT kernel. 5 minutes has not been called yet. I'm actually, the thing that's going to happen has not happened yet, so we're running a little later. And I'm enjoying myself, and I don't need to panic yet. I will have to panic soon, because there is always a time to panic. Brain. There we go. Okay. I just recovered my brain. So basically, the subsystem sits between your userland application and the NT kernel, and they make the two play nice with each other. There is what's known as the NT native application, NT native application API, which is basically NT. It's basically the NT userland stuff. It's not documented by Microsoft, or at least it hasn't been, because this is basically meant for stuff like AutoCheck, which is check disk that runs on NT boot up, and it was what the text mode applications were built out of. Most of the symbols are defined in the header files and the DDK. If we go look for Tenox, A-Clock, Windows NT, Tenox actually talks about this, on how he did this and the problems with making native mode applications. And they have, I'll drop some links in chat. Oh man, this is on sysinternals. Remember when they were around and they were like awesome? It was a while ago. So anyway, once again, yeah, so this talks about auto check and basically how native applications are started before CSRSS, which is the runtime system. Basically the only stuff that needs to run as a native application is antivirus, disk sanity checking, and a few things. I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen much come out of the NT leaked source code from native applications, because back in the day, these kind of were a holy grail. People were like, how do you get these to work? And no one was able to do anything beyond a hello world, and it wasn't even easy to get a hello world. So I'm a little surprised that this didn't come out more in detail when when the NT source code leaked, because there are three really now known leaks of Windows NT. 3.5 leaked this year, XP leaked 2 months ago, and NT4 leaked back in 2004, 2005. I don't know if anyone's tried to build the NT 3.5 leak. The XP and NT4 ones were not 100% complete, but they can mostly be compiled. And Microsoft has been surprisingly quiet about it. Like when the NT4 source code leaked, the amount of DCMAs flying was ridiculous. They haven't really said anything aside from the fact they confirmed that it leaked, which is a little surprising for Microsoft. But given that the source code is ancient, who knows? So, I think this is our 5-minute mark. So, Side Pocket, if you're still around, let's go hunting for a stream. So I can shut it down on my leisure. I won't shut it down just this moment, but it's coming soon. So the next time, folks, we will meet is almost certainly in 2021, unless Side Pocket strong arms me for doing a stream on the 30th. As a reminder, we are still raising money for Child's Play charity. I would love to see that bar hit 300 before the year is out. If you are personally interested in me and my content, I do have a YouTube channel, which I will drop in chat. And it would really make a difference to me if you would take a look at my videos and subscribe. I also have a Discord server in addition to the main DEFCON 201 servers for basically my stuff. So we've got a little time to kill. I don't know how we're going to kill it. Yeah, no. I do like that the VirtualBox logo is the stop sign. And this is relatively new. This was not here before. And I have that wonder if I bet I know who implemented this. So one thing I do actually, I'm not actually ready to shut the stream down because I want to check something. So I've got this very old VM and it's probably going to bitch about activation, because this is a 32-bit version of Windows and it won't activate with my current key for whatever reason. I don't know why. I am actually curious, if we were to copy the subsystem for OS2, since we just found where the key is, I am curious if we could get this. Oh, wrong machine. I just kind of want to see if this works, and then we will call it properly. So we're going to just end with a small experiment. Let's pull up NT31. Because I need something to reference this. That's fine. This is fine. This is all fine. Yeah, so this is going to end with a small experiment. I want to just see what happens if we copy the subsystem for OS2, OS2 into a 32-bit version of Windows, will it work? And I honestly don't know. I legitimately don't know. But I think we're going to just do this as a quick and dirty test, and then we will end the stream for the night. Because as far as I know, subsystem support in Windows is basically unchanged. So while that goes, let me find this. So that would be current control set, control, Windows, or session manager, subsystems. So while this tries to boot, and I remember this VM was pretty fracking broken. Like, actually, I know this VM has some problems. So maybe it's the 32-bit. Why does VirtualBox have pass-through support for webcams? Oh, give me a freaking break. It's installing updates. It's installing updates. It's installing updates. This is fine. This is fine. This is all fine. Okay. So I am legitimately curious, though. If we take a look in the system, I'm not even sure I'll be able to edit these registry keys, but I am legitimately curious. Can we just add the OS2 subsystem back in? I don't use this VM very often. This VM mostly exists for the fact that I test Windows forward compatibility from time to time, which is why I haven't bothered going through the freaking hoops to activate it. I mean, I've got Windows 10 licenses, but apparently the license keys for 32-bit are different from 64-bit, which I don't know why, but this VM just will not activate no matter what I try. I mean, it's only a matter of time until Microsoft kills the 32-bit versions off. And we're stuck watching a spinning circle saying, yeah. This is fine. This is all fine. This is still fine. It is all fine. Okay, I need to... I want to test this, and then we will end the stream, because this is an interesting note. Assuming we ever can get this machine to start up. So while this is booting up, I guess it doesn't really matter what version of Windows I pull this from. I've got an NT. I don't remember if 2000. I don't think I have a 2000 VM handy. I probably do somewhere, but I don't really feel like digging for it. I know NT4 I've got. So while that boots, NT4, Cume, NDB, C, Dev, NDB1, blah, blah, blah. NDB1, mount. Fine. Okay. WinNT. Okay, so we go to System 32. And we go to strings OS2 exec DLL. Yeah, okay, so that gives me a list of the DLLs. So I'm pretty sure I've got this guess that if I grabbed all these DLL files and put them here after it's done, I could probably kit bash this into working. Maybe. I don't know. I'm legitimately curious if it would work. I mean, it probably won't, but for the love of... You know, I almost feel like this is the note we should end on, that we're just sitting here waiting for updates to install. Because it's just fitting. 95. It went from 94 to 95. God, the same person who implemented the working on updates bar probably also did the file copy dialog. I said it, I'm not taking it back. 96. 97. 97. It's 97%. God, this reminds me of Fairly Odd Parents when Timmy goes into the internet. Let's see here. All right, 9:45. Okay. All right. I think at this point I've got to call it because my hard stop is coming. No, wait. Yeah, no, my hard stop is coming up. So here's your 1 minute warning. 60, 59, 58. We'll pick this topic up after the New Year's. 55. Whenever Side Pocket tells me to. That's a dangerous sentence. Yeah. So, folks, thank you so much for being here. As soon as Side Pocket tells me I can shut down, we are going to shut down. I am always open to topic suggestions and or bad ideas. If I ever do an out-of-series stream, it will be on my YouTube. Otherwise, you can find me here every other week on HACK-ALT-NCOMMANDER. Please follow the DEFCON 201 Twitter for announcements of streams. Again, we are raising money for Child's Play, so if you've enjoyed the stream, putting some money in the tip jar would be highly welcome. And until next time, this is NCommander waiting to say his sign-off because Side Pocket hasn't told me I could sign off yet. Okay, there's the sign-off. So, folks, until next time, this is... We've updated Windows to bring you a brand new web browser built for Windows 10. No, 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 no. Cast thee out. Cast thee out. Bye-bye, folks.